This story time is going to be my second miscarriage because, Mother's Day just passed and whatnot. So, pretty much, I think I already have a video of my first miscarriage up there. That was when I was 21, I think, like literally when I lost my virginity, like close around that time, right? Because I was old. I'm not doing stuff when I'm 17 like other kids, okay? So, that was the first one was when I was 21. Second one, I think I was 23, I think, like 2 years ago, whatever. So this is gonna be the second miscarriage story time. So pretty much, I was with this guy. It was like super toxic relationship. He was like verbally abusive. He was manipulative. He was a liar. Blah blah blah. He was just terrible, right? So it gets to the point where we're like actively like doing it or whatever. But it's not like I don't know, we're not like crazy and stuff, and like sometimes we're using protection. But, anyways, I end up getting pregnant. But whenever this happens, I can't tell if I'm actually pregnant because I don't know if my pregnancy hormones are just like low or whatever. Because I would take a pregnancy test from like Dollar Tree or like even the expensive, like the clear blue kind or whatever. I would take those, it would say like, oh, negative, not pregnant. And then I'd be like, okay, cool. And then my period still comes. And then I'm still getting like, cramps and back pains and I'm sleeping a lot and like all this stuff, right? So I'm still getting all the pregnancy side effects even though like the pregnancy test is saying negative. So one time I was on the phone with him because we were on Instagram FaceTime or whatever. So we were on FaceTime together just like talking. It was probably like 2 in the morning or whatever. And I'm literally like standing like right here talking to him. And then what's it called? So we were talking, and then I feel something weird. I'm like, why does my stomach feel like weird? Like it felt like I was about to like throw up. Felt like my period was coming or whatever. And I was like, bro, didn't I just have my period like last week? So then I go to the toilet, right? And I sit down, and I look in my underwear, and it's like some weird looking squishy thing. And I was like, ew, like this shit is nasty as hell. But like obviously like that's what like the little the embryo thingy looks like, and it just looked nasty. It wasn't like bloody or whatever, but it was kind of like a weird blobbish shape. And I was like, oh dang, like I just had a miscarriage, like because I knew like what it was. Because my first miscarriage, it was like a little red blob, like the clump of like cells or whatever. This one actually looked kind of like interesting looking, like it's obvious what it was. So then I tell him on FaceTime, I'm like, bro, I think I just had a miscarriage, what the hell? And he was like, oh, you told me you weren't pregnant. And I'm like, well, the pregnancy test said negative, so I don't know what the hell happened. And then he was like, oh, okay. Like he didn't have any reaction to it. And I hate that because I hate men who lack emotional intelligence, right? He's not even asking me like if I'm okay, like what happened, what does it look like, or like, like just asking me questions in general, right? So he was just like, oh, okay, like he didn't even care. And then of course I get emotional over that, and I'm like, bro, like you don't even care, like that could have been your kid. I could have been carrying your kid for 9 months and wouldn't have known because I'm like really skinny, right? So even if I do get pregnant, it's not gonna show up until I'm like 6 months. I'm not gonna like start getting fat or anything or start gaining weight until it's like 6 months. So then he just didn't care, and I'm thinking like, damn, like that's crazy. Like I really let this fool get me pregnant, and he don't even care about me. That's crazy. But I feel like that one wasn't like as draining because it was just like I don't know. I was 23, and I always said if I get pregnant before 25, I'm a off that. Okay, I don't care like if I'm rich, if I'm married, if I'm financially stable. I just don't want kids before I'm 25. Like I would want to live my early 20s to the fullest, regardless if I'm broke or rich or have friends or don't or unemployed or not. Like I want to live my full early 20s before I have kids, right? And which is ironic because my early 20s were boring as fuck. So yeah, that was my second miscarriage, and I don't know. My first one, I didn't even know what it was. The second one, I was like, oh dang, I literally just had a miscarriage. That's crazy. And then I realized I'm like, oh dang, I guess I gotta be using protection during this, or maybe that was just God looking out for me. That's why I had a miscarriage, because God knows that I can't deal with no fucking child at 23 years old. So that's why I'm saying like I don't get how like teenagers be having kids, because I'm like, if I'm in my early 20s and I'm stressed about having kids and I don't want kids or whatever, I don't get how these teenagers are doing it, or like people who are still in school. Like that's just crazy to me. But I don't know. I'm glad I didn't have it, obviously, because I would have gotten rid of it any like way, if it was like positive or whatever. I still would have gotten rid of it, right? But he's the type of guy, how it's like in the beginning I asked him what he would do in that situation if I did get pregnant, if I did have to have an abortion or whatever, because y'all know them shits be taxing, right? That shit's like $200 or like whatever, you buy like some pill to make you like throw up or some shit. I don't know, but it's like expensive to do that. And I asked him if he would pay for it. He was like, we could like split it. Or he said like, nah, I ain't paying for nothing, blah, blah, blah. So he would basically be like a deadbeat dad, like his own dad was to him. So I'm thinking like, that's kind of ironic, bro. Cause like guys, they'll like lay up with anything with a hole, and then it's like as soon as they get a girl pregnant, they like don't want to take responsibility, they don't want to like parent their kid or like whatever. And it's like I can understand it if you're like young and you're like 17, and you get a girl pregnant like the first time you lose your virginity, like I can understand that, and like why you want to get rid of it or don't want to be a parent. But like if you're like grown and shit, end of the day, like having sex, that's your responsibility. And obviously, like, you know, a kid is like the biggest consequence that could come out of it. So now I know not to lay up with broke men who wouldn't even pay for it in that situation. So I don't know. That was it. Next story time coming soon.